Hello? Am I on mute or am I good? I'm muted.
Hey, Justin, can you hear me?
And can you hear me?
I can't hear you,
You can't hear me.
which is fine. I just want to make sure y'all can hear me.
What about now?
I can't hear you.
Perfect. Let's
We
see.
are
I don't
recording,
know.
guys. Before I had paused it, and apparently when I pushed play, it didn't start back recording. So I'm not going to mess with it this time. I was just going to wait about another minute and let everybody jump in that's going to pop on, and then I'll share my screen and we'll start. And Justin, I actually had just sent you an email too to check and make sure you had what you needed. And if this doesn't help you, then we could do a one-on-one where you can share your screen and I'll help you click through all the things.
Got
And
And you still can't hear me, right? You still can't hear me?
I can't hear you. Did you join
That's
with
crazy.
the audio?
I don't know.
Let's see.
I can hear you, Justin.
You can hear me?
I can.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there.
I hear both of you. Good
Susan.
What
morning,
you can
guys.
do is if I can't hear you and you need to type something, then ask. We'll put something in you can do it, put it in the chat. I'll try to keep a watch on all of it. I have two screens, guys, so if I look away, that's what I'm doing. I say this every time because everybody's like, what's she looking at?
Yeah.
Thank you for doing this,
Thank you,
Susan.
Bree.
I really need it. Hey there.
I don't
Justin,
think she.
we have to connect because I have great news for you too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, I'm finally working.
I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen.
Okay.
Do you have a
Oh, I
do you
did
have a
something.
listing?
Well, I'll have a listing for land in after the new year. And then I'm working with two clients right now. One is a HUD I'm currently working with, and the other one will be.
All right, you guys ready? I'm going to go ahead and start. I'll try to keep a watch and see. It's already recording, Katie. I didn't pause it this time. I just kept it going. Let's make for sure it's going. How do I see?
It's blinking at the top, so it is recording.
Katie, can you hear me?
Yes.
Susan, everybody can hear me, but Susan.
Susan.
She can't hear us.
Okay.
Susan.
Does that look good?
Susan.
Katie, I can't hear any of y'all. What's going on?
Yeah, there's something wrong. Hold on. I'll walk across the road over here. See if I can fix it.
I can't hear anybody. Justin's just talking, and I'm like, I can't hear you.
Okay. You got too many screens here. I can't follow. There's your little menu that pops up
Right here.
Oh, you hit the little right there. Test speaker and microphone. Hello?
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Yeah,
Hey.
there we go.
Wonder what that was about. That's really strange.
I'm glad I jumped in.
Yes. I almost didn't allow her in, guys. I'm just saying. She has to be admitted. I'm like, no, not you, Katie. Anyway.
Team leaders will
Okay,
belong in
so,
here.
I think you guys have probably jumped on here before. We're going to do it again. And I do want to make for sure first that everybody has seen the Trello board. Like if you guys seen the invitation for the Trello board, it's Path to Getting Paid, closing Trello board. You should have been emailed.
Yes, ma'am.
If you have not, please reach out to the front desk, which is kwmtg.frontdesk@gmail.com.
Can you put that in the comments?
Yes, we will.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, you did it. Katie did it. Okay. All right. So this is what it looks like. So the first thing I wanted to do was just like kind of go over this a little bit and show you how it works. Each column inside of this closing Trello board gives you kind of sort of like, it's kind of like a checklist, right? So each thing is something that you should be doing to, like, once you've gotten to this point, you know, you've got your contact inside of Command. And now, you know, you're ready to start with your opportunity because they have either found a house if you're representing the buyer, or there's been an offer fully accepted on the listing, right? So if it's your listing, some things are changing with the listings, y'all. I don't have instructions yet on how to do some of the things. So what we're going to do for now is just reference. Well, really, we need some more training around it because there's something that's going away. It doesn't probably make a lot of sense to you guys yet, but just reach out to me and I'll tell you this when we get to that point and remind you if something changes with a listing, an offer that you have on your listing, and maybe, you know, that contract falls out, you still have the listing, you're putting it back active. Reach out to me if you have any changes on that end, and we are going to figure out what to do to try to make it easier. They are still working on some things with Command. The most wonderful announcement I think that Katie and I probably got recently was the fact that the MCA that was in Hoover has become the regional tech trainer. So he has actually been in here doing it, training, like working. And so he's got like all of the, I say MCA inside communication on some things that we need to happen on our end. So, but this walks you through, this Trello board walks you through all the things, all the steps that you need to take next. Right? So each column, database, opportunity documents, how to submit to Market Center, offer accepted, submit commission request. And if you scroll over, guys, there's more to it. So I always like to tell everybody, like, scroll over because it's so big when you go in that sometimes you don't realize there's more columns over there. But each one of these cards that you click on will give you either a short little video or documentation or a checklist or something like that that you need that's specific to what you're doing in this part of the transaction in each one of these cards, right? So also too, I do this twice a month, this path to getting paid. It's open for you guys. We just go through all the things. I show you the things. And then, you know, you have a chance to ask any questions. We can do a one-on-one Zoom. You can come and sit down. We'll wear a mask. We'll take a look at things. However you need to do it. I just always like to reference this first because Katie came up with the idea of doing this because we already have an onboarding Trello. And this is literally specific to opportunities, right? And so she came up with the idea and then we collaborated together on some different, you know, things that we needed to add. And we tried to give you all of the information you could possibly need in here. So, yet again, if you guys haven't seen this or haven't looked at it, then just reach out to the front desk and we will invite you again to it. So, the next step, did anybody have any questions on this Trello board or anything that didn't make sense to you before we move into logging into Command and creating your opportunities? Okay, so the next tab I'm going to go to is your login for Command, excuse me. My login is always under agent.kw.com. I think, Katie, you said command.kw.com. Okay, and you'll get this login screen. Your login credentials are the exact same as what we sent you in the welcome email. That username and password that's in there to log into the KW intranet, it is the same for this. So you'll just sign in with your login credentials. Y'all, I have emails popping up. Let me close those out because I get real distracted. Two screens. I need 4. Okay. So when you log in, oh no, it kicked me out. It would be a terrible thing if command was glitching right now. Okay, so when you log in, this is the screen. Mine looks a little bit different up here because I have a Command MC tab. You guys won't see this because it's for the Market Center. But when you come in over here on this left side, when you click KW, that expands your menu on this left-hand side so that you know what the little icons are. There are 2 ways that you can create an opportunity. One is once you've created the contact, you can create it from there, or you can go into you can go into your contact and click create opportunity, or you can go into opportunities, which is the easiest way for me because at this point your contact should already be in there and created inside of there. But this is the easiest way, I feel like. So if you click opportunities and over here on the right hand side, you're going to click create opportunity. It's going to ask you to fill in all of the information regarding your client. Everything with a red asterisk, guys, is required. This is pretty important too. Make for sure you don't just skip over because these do have something already in the boxes. Don't skip over this part because if you get to the part of submitting the commission to me and it's under listing, but it's actually a buyer opportunity type, it's not going to let you go back and change it once you've already submitted your commission request to me and I have imported.
Okay, I have a question on this slide. Owner that's us.
Yes, you are
Okay.
the owner of the opportunity.
Got you. All
Right.
Yeah.
This is
So-
if you were in a team and you were in your team members, you're the owner because you're the team, but your team member would be the associate that took care of it.
Okay, I got
So
you.
if you're a solo agent, you're the owner and the associate handling the deal.
Okay, got you.
Okay, so everything with a red asterisk is required. Like I said, this is already, a lot of this information is going to be sitting there, but right here, you'll need to click the arrow beside to the drop down. Go ahead and choose which one it is. Is it listing, buyer? Probably will never be landlord or tenant because right now, Keller Williams, we're not doing rentals, right? Or property management. Now, some agents have some property management on their own, but it is not through Keller Williams Realty, okay, or KW Montgomery. So I'm going to choose the buyer first, just because this is the easier one, and then we'll go back to the listing one after this. So of course, owner name, it's going to be you because you are the owner of the opportunity. Your client, you're just going to search, right, or type. So and that will pop up a list, like say if you use the last name, it's going to pop up a list of everybody with that name. Co-buyer, if you would like to fill that in, it's optional. So like I said, guys, remember everything with a red asterisk required. You can't move forward without it. At this point in time, Hannah Sullivan is the buyer. We don't have an address, right? Because we're looking. Right? If you guys create this the way that you should be using command, you don't have an address yet. Some agents are just creating it when it's time to get paid, and I'm not going to say that's fine, but if that's the way you guys need to do it, that's okay. We just really want you guys to jump in here and really utilize this system, this platform, right? Because it's got so many awesome things. And just like with everything, guys, technology, there are glitches and they are making it better every day. So before you get frustrated, that just know that it's a known, by the time you found that something's going on, somebody already knows up there at International, Keller Williams Realty International, and they are already working on it. So we have people labbing this all the time. So anyway, so at this point, opportunity name, Hannah Sullivan, buyer, because you're helping them look for the home, right? They are trying to find that perfect home. You can choose a custom tag here. If you do not have one, you can type it in and hit enter, and that adds a custom tag. Estimated close date, right? So you at this point don't know, but but when would you like, you know what I'm saying? Do they have a deadline? What's their time frame? What are they looking for? When do they want to be at a house, right? And so just estimate at this point, right? So we're just going to say January the 8th, right? You can choose the time frame if you'd like, which yet again, that goes together, right? Put their budget in if you would like, commission rate, right? So if you are on the buyer side only, which we know standard in this area is, standard in this area is 3% per side, right? So if you're representing the buyer, 3%. If you're representing the seller, 3%. If you've got both sides, it's 6%. What we'd like to do though is, if you did represent buyer, say it was your listing and you sold your listing, so you're representing both. At this point, we still want you to only create the opportunity for this side, right? So you'll do the listing side separate, then the buyer side. And what that does is it helps with compliance purposes. But even if you wanted to put all of your docs in just like one of them, I wouldn't recommend, but that would be okay. But the commissions need to be submitted separately. But the way that they built this platform out is each opportunity, right? So listing was your opportunity, but the buyer's your opportunity. So they like for you to submit to. And like I said, I won't go into details on all of that right this second, but just reach out to me if you're ever in that position and you're confused about what did I say. So anyway, so we're going to put 3% because we're representing the buyer. You're going to choose your opportunity phase. So click the drop down, cultivate, appointment, active. Well, at this point, we've already had our appointment. So we're going to say that they're active, right? Then you're going to choose your opportunity stage, showing, negotiations, legacy. We're going to say showing, and then just click create. All right, so now you are inside of your opportunity that just created. All right, and once you're in here, you can see sales pipeline under buyer active, the name, Hannah Sullivan, details section, buyer profile, which we just skip over because that is completely optional, and that is if you would like to fill this out. So I'm not positive exactly where this comes from. It looks like it has something to do with the smart plan stuff. So that's more geared, I think, towards Katie's side, and she jumped off, or I would have her jump in and fill up this out, give you guys some details on this section on exactly where this comes from, because we really need to fill this part in. But for the most part, this is not anything that I need on my end for you submitting any of this information, right? So documents tab are the tab. These are the tabs I'm focusing on. The offers tab, the commissions tab, which you can see right now is grayed out. And so those 3-4 tabs are the tabs that I'm really focusing on. I do not, I need to say this here, check for compliance anymore, but I do go in there if I see that you guys have submitted a commission request with a referral, an outside referral. I need to go into the documents section to check a couple of documents and print those out for my file. So, going back to the details section, I do like to say this here because at the point in time that you are creating your opportunity, you're working with this buyer, you guys are, you're helping them search for a home. And the one thing I do need you guys to do once a property is found, there's a fully accepted, fully signed contract, right, on this property that your buyer has made an offer on. I do want you guys to come in here, and there's a little pencil right here, and I need you guys to click that to edit. And I would like for you to, you can keep the name if you would like, you can keep buyer if you would like, but what I would like for you to do is at least put the street number and name for me. Okay, I work strictly on you guys' names, agent names, and addresses, because I don't know your buyers and your sellers' names, right? But you guys know your buyers and your sellers' names. And that's how you're working with them, right? So I need this address to be put in there. to help me track what I'm doing on my end. So guys, do me a favor if you'll go and update that for me. Same thing as on that first tab, everything in red is required. All right, so, and you can just see that if you needed to update any of this information, you can do it at this time when you edit. The most important thing is I need this opportunity phase to be in the active phase, right? So you can fill in any of this information that you have or you would like. Just click save and now update it to the address. Same thing over here. You can edit this information. These little pencils are so tiny. I wish they were bigger so you guys could see it. So this is the buyer one. We're going to jump over to the document section. And as you can see on that, when you first were creating the opportunity and you chose that this was a buyer type opportunity, over here, it's going to give you the option for the buyer checklist that we have created. I have created a residential buyer checklist, a land and lots buyer checklist, and a commercial buyer checklist. We do not have a whole lot of commercial, but the few docs that I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys, if you ever have a commercial anything, reach out to Jimmy Ann Campbell first. She's the qualifying broker. She will help you from the beginning all the way through. But we did put the documents inside of here. So we're going to choose residential. All right. And then it auto-populates your checklist, right? So I do want to tell you guys here, this consultation section, I can't delete this. I thought it would be easier because we know in the consultation part of, your client interaction, right? You've probably got the RECAD signed or the buyer's inclusive signed, but I thought it would just be easier for everything to live under contract, right? So you will never see any documents listed. Some people use this tab or section of the checklist to add any of their extra docs, right? Because this is your online file, guys. This is where all your compliance lives for auditing purposes, but also for you. So some people like to keep paper files and they file them away. Also upload any documentation that you want inside of here. You can put it over here under the consultation tab, or you can put it under contract if that's where you want it. You can always add an item and add anything extra that's not listed in here required. They have recently, this looks a little different. I don't know if you guys noticed, but now this is all highlighted. They did like a little color block, which I noticed that this week when I came in, that it looked a little bit differently. So these are all of the required and conditionally required documents that I think pretty much could possibly be needed, or I guess probably the most popular ones, right, on a deal. So I do want to tell you guys here that we do have a paper checklist up front that we print out copies of, and we also have a checklist that you guys could print or save on your desktop that's inside of the onboarding Trello, the closing Trello, as well as the Google Drive. So, and I'm going to show you that Google Drive here in just a minute to make sure that you guys have all been invited to that, or that's been shared, whichever way, shared, invited, and make sure that you've all seen it, because if you haven't, then we need to get that to you. So, this gets a little confusing because everybody's like, hey, I don't have all of these docs. Well, you're not going to have every single one of them. That's why we have the actual, I'm going to show it to you guys. This is a listing one. I don't have any more of the buyer copies. But as you can see, it's like a paper one of the things that are absolutely required, like just your basics, right? Some of these things are like, your bind or release, of course, that's only if, your deal fell out and you know, so some of these things are not required. They're specific to your transaction if they're happening. So for instance, like, if your house was built before 1978, you do not need after 1978, you don't need this lead-based paint, right? So we've marked it required, but it's only required if, right? So I'm going to show you guys really quickly. I just like to tell you that about the checklist because it gets a little confusing. This is the under contract section, which is where your main documents live. At the time that it closes, click on closed. We want you guys to update your commission check. And I updated this because I always call it a CD or a closing disclosure. It is the ALTA, the closing disclosure, the settlement statement, the HUD, whatever they call it, right? Comes from the attorney. You guys the attorney will go over that at closing with the buyers and the sellers, give your buyer and you the copies that they need. You will bring this back. You can scan this and upload this to Command if you're going to do it pretty quickly after closing, and then I can print my copy for my file from here. I don't want you guys to ever get like a charged for a copy to make me a copy. Or you can upload this for yourself and leave me the copy that you have. Either way you want to do it, I just need a copy for my file. So we ask that you upload the copy of the commission check and a copy of the closing disclosure or the ALTA from the attorney right here. I'm going to pop back over here to under contract, show you guys how to upload a document. So if you click add file here, it's going to make you choose, you have the options for manual or custom. You can drag and drop or browse your files. So drag and drop's really easy. It's easier for me. I have two screens. I don't know how easy it would be for you guys with one screen, but you can always click browse, jump out, and grab the document. And you saw how that blue line fed all the way across. Make for sure that completes before you click assign. And I'm not sure if you even have the option to click assign before, but it loads all the way. But make for sure it loads fully so that there's nothing. I do see from time to time that there's an upload issue with trying to upload a document when I go in there to look at it. So click assign. And just like that, there's your document. And if you notice that this was grayed out before, now it's blue, you can click submit to MC. Click submit. And that sends a notification inside of Command for leadership that says there's a compliance request, right? You can upload all your docs at one time if you would like. Makes it a little bit harder if you were to scan them all together and upload at one time into just one file. It makes it harder for us to, or for the compliance coordinator to reject, right? Or to let you know that something is missing an initial or whatever. Because when they do, they reject the whole entire packet, send you a note on what's wrong, and that's still okay because you can jump back out, say the property disclosure was only signed by the seller and the buyer didn't sign or initial. And the whole entire packet that you scanned in is rejected. At that time that you have it corrected, pop back in here and then you can just upload it to where the individual docs are listed, right? We really like for you guys to just get the information in there. So honestly, it makes it a little bit easier for us if you upload them individually, but if you don't, however you need for compliance to live inside of here, we're just happy if you guys put it in, right? And I need to say again, for auditing purposes, everything needs to live inside of here. So even if you sent an email to me or to the compliance coordinator and say, here, I got this done, we still are going to need you to put it in there before we can release your check. That is another thing. If all compliance is not checked off on, guys, and submitted, then I can't release your check. That is a policy in our office. We ask that 48 hours after you have a fully signed contract, submit your documents, submit your commission request. Say you don't have all your documents, but you've definitely got the contract signed and it's good to go. Go ahead and do the commission request though right away, because that then generates a report in my system, and I then enter it into, or actually Mia at the front desk enters it into a shared document with the compliance coordinator to let them know that this closing is upcoming. And so that prompts them to jump in and start checking your compliance. I'm going to write this, put this email. Oh gosh, why is this not? I need it to go to everyone. Okay, compliance, montg@gmail.com. I did not create that email address. I would have made it a little bit more simple, but that is the email address for you to communicate with the compliance coordinator. I do work with the compliance coordinator, and they work directly with the qualifying broker, Jimmy Ann Campbell. So if you ever see something that you're like, I just really don't know why this is required, of course you can reach out and ask any questions, but just know Jimmy Ann Campbell has made and worked with us on all of these checklists. Some of these things are required for like the lead-based paint, that's federal, so that's EPA, right? So there's some that are required, you know, they're Alabama Real Estate Commission required. Some of them are risk management for your E&O, for the E&O company. So there's different reasons, but just know that they're all required. You might get some pushback from some other agents that say, what in the world, our office doesn't require that. Well, we're sorry, but ours does. And I need to get paid, right? So that's how to upload a document. That's how to submit. It says submit it over here on the right-hand side and let you know that you sent it. If for some reason you guys are still working with the same buyer and that opportunity just falls out, right? You can choose right here to add a version for docs. The biggest thing is I want everybody to reach out to me if you ever have a closing yes, Gerald, and I love you being on here every single time. Trying to learn. Way to learn. Sorry, I was reading the comment over there. Anyway, so I just want to let you know you can add a version in here. So the way that we were working this before, and this is where the whole listing thing came into play, was adding a version for your docs, right? So say that this property address that you guys 123 Main Street, and it just didn't work out, right? So the contract's a bust. You know, there's been a binder disbursement and your buyer's back looking again. Your buyer is your opportunity. You can go back to this details section and you can edit this address and take it out at any point in time. The biggest thing is if an offer has been submitted and a commission request has been sent to me and I've imported into my system, if this is not going to close, please contact me and let me know where you stand with your buyer before I'm going to say not reject, but terminate. Once I terminate that disbursement authorization, your commission request that I pulled in, once I terminate that in my system, it makes you have to mark the opportunity a lost opportunity and go back and start all over from the beginning. So I'm just asking for everybody to reach out to me when you have any changes and anything falls apart. Let me know and let's have a conversation around it first till we can get Command to work. Like I said, that regional tech trainer now is working directly with all of the people up there international that's labbing and working on Command, and we're trying to get it to communicate correctly so that it works the way it's supposed to. So just for now, guys, if you'll just reach out to me. So any questions on the checklist, any questions on how to upload a document? If you have any extra documents that you want to, you just click add item, name the document, choose the type. And any of these drop downs, guys, they just go further. So a lot of people are like, well, all I saw was a couple of options. But if you scroll down, there's a whole long list, right? So, and then browse and upload or drag and drop and click save, and it puts it at the very bottom of the checklist down here. Any added extra items. So that is the way that you submit on the buyer side. And I want to jump out and go, well, we'll go ahead and go to the next section before I do the listing one. So after or while you're uploading your documents, because you're uploading them as you're going, right? But once you have a fully executed contract, 48 hours after, we need you to enter the offer. So create the initial offer. You can name it whatever you would like or leave it that. Click create offer. It's going to ask for offer details. All right. So it's got your offer date, your close date. So update that. Property address. I always like to use the office address, even though that says Main Street, guys, ignore it. I just choose whatever's the easiest one that pops up. So once you type it in though, you'll see that pop up underneath, and you will click from the list below to enter the correct address. Click parties to go to the next tab. Here's where you will put your buyer information, your party's information. So buyer, seller, it is required, everything in red with an asterisk. So email address, optional if you have it. Phone number, optional if you have it. Sorry, that keeps popping up all the things. Because it's going to fill in your buyer's information that you already had. But seller side, you will definitely need the name and the listing agent's name. Okay. All right. So you're going to click terms to go to the next section. Here are the terms of the, the terms of the loan, or the terms of the, gosh, I went blank, but you guys know. So if you know this information well, which you do because it is your buyer, you're going to know that if they're putting, a certain amount of money down, but you literally just click in the box. A lot of people are like, well, how do you edit this? Well, just click in the box and just type, right? So, and then you see how it totaled that over there and auto-populated your sales price, right? Earnest amount. So percentage, earnest amount, this is optional only if you want to put it in. And of course, you're not going to know what the percentage amount is, or you could know it if you did some math. But the easiest way is just click in the box that says earnest amount and type in the earnest money amount. And then once you do that, it'll auto-populate your percentage. Option fee, have no idea what this means. I say this every time I'm on here, but I don't think it's anything that I don't think it's anything pertaining to anything we do around here. I'm not quite sure. I need to ask about that too. I'll ask another MCA and ask them what that means. Termination option. So buyer will give termination within however many days of contract, fill that in. Seller cost, seller will contribute blank to a residential service contract. We believe that's pretty much probably a home warranty. So you can put that in there if you have that. Seller will contribute, and you should know this at this point because you've got a fully executed contract. So you'll put however much they're going to put towards the closing cost, right? That you will find on the contract. And then your last tab is your agent analysis. Click there. Pros and cons. This tab is for multiple offer situations. That's what we got out of it. So, and then click save. So now you see before the offers had a 0 beside it. Now it has a 1. Okay. It gives you your offer timeline. Here's all of the information. If your buyer found 4 houses and they were submitting offers on all of them, you could put every one of them on there. And then once you have the one that was accepted, click accept. That, once you do that, opens up your commissions tab. Okay, so click on your commissions tab, and this is where you will fill out the information to submit the commission request to me. So if you look over here, your contract date, and I don't know why on the other screens when we fill it in, it does not come over. Every time it's going to make you edit this information. So if you'll just edit the general information and update your contract date. Scroll down though, because these screens are a little bit small. And we're just going to put today, and we're going to click Save Changes. Okay, so now that went away. And if you look, guys, remember how I said on that first screen, the pencil was tiny? It's really big here. It's easy here. So click Edit General Information. Down here is where you edit the payment information if something is different. So this is where, and we had some people jump off, and this was probably the most important part of what they needed to know. Say, Justin, you're on here, and Gerald, you're on here. Say you guys are working together and you're like 50-50, right? Gerald's like, hey man, I'll split the commission with you if you do blah and blah, right? And there's that great real estate term. I don't know if you guys were on there with Adam the other day, but I was joking and I was like, man, that's that real estate term of blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so funny. Anyway, so this is where you would update or edit that information under the edit agent payment part, right? So I want to show you guys this right here. Add another agent for an inside referral, okay? Inside referral is KW Montgomery agents. So inside referral, but we're not going to choose an inside referral because it does not pull over into my system correctly. So just want to tell you, this is considered an inside referral, but we don't put it that way. We don't submit it that way on this part, on this commission request. You'll just add an agent. So you can either do it where you add the agent and then come back and edit your commission, or you can go ahead and you can edit the agent payment here. So we know that the gross commission, I have it goes to my calculator, guys. It just goes off at random times of the day and night. If you just barely touch it, sometimes you don't touch it. Anyway, so if you take your gross commission, you, Justin and Gerald, are going to split this 50-50, right? So, divided by 2, and then you will edit your payment and just tab through, right? All of the things. If you wanted to update any of this information, scroll down and then click Save Changes. All right, so if you look, it's going to tell you, it's going to tell you over here that your balance is not correct, right? Because you entered your total commission up here, and so it knows that there's some money missing. So you're going to go over here, you're going to add an agent, and you'll start typing all right, Gerald popped up, and you're going to add, and technically it's 0.5 of the unit unless maybe they're just splitting the money with you, right? So if they're just splitting the commission amount, this is where the two of you, or you and whoever, would discuss this, because are you guys splitting the unit? Because buyer side is a unit, seller side is a unit, right? So are you splitting the unit, or are you just splitting the commission? So this is where you would ask that question, right? So it could be they're just giving you whatever to help out and do whatever, right? So you would update the unit here. You would have to do the same thing underneath yourself. If you at that point in time, you could do half and half, or you could do one and none, right? And then it calculates the commission amount. Same thing if this agent wants to give to KW Cares. And you guys will be in communication because you'll be working together. One of you guys are probably going to submit the commission request. So just make for sure that it's all agreed on. So, and then click Save Changes. And now the little error, the little notification over here went away, right? So now all of your money lines up. And if you look over here on this right-hand side, it gives you your summary. So here's your general information. Here's your payment breakdown section, right? And it's got both agents there. You can edit each one. And then here's your summary on the right-hand side, which gives you all the breakdowns, your total commission, pay to the office, which there's the total, and here is the breakdown of that total. Pay to agents, and here's the breakdown for each agent. That's your net pay. I do want to tell you guys to make for sure, associate royalty 6%, company commission is 70/30. So everything is calculated off of the top. So to add an outside referral, which is what I'd like to show you next. We're never going to do co-broker payment, guys, because I do want to tell you that I wish I could remove some things in here that we don't need. We're never going to do a co-broker payment because we do not pay the other agents, right? Like the other agent on the deal. If there is an outside payment, it's going to be an outside referral. So this is where you add that section. That part to this section. You'll go down here and you'll click add item under extra payment options. And you see it says referrals, bonuses, deductions, and concessions. Deductions are only geared towards the PC coaching students. So the product productivity coaching students, nobody else should have a deduction for anything else. Concessions, you're never going to have that entered in your commission either. So referrals and bonuses. So click add an item. You're going to choose. So click your drop down. There's bonuses, concession, deduction, inside referral and outside referral. Wipe inside referral out of your brain. So you guys aren't going to need it. So click outside referral. You're going to choose the amount. Standard is probably mostly 25%. It's up to you. You could negotiate 30, or they could, because they referred to you. It's whatever you guys agree on, right? Same thing with you. If you're sending a referral, you can negotiate. You can say you want 30%, right? So it'll auto-populate the amount. You will need the W-9 from that agent for their brokerage, and you will need the signed agreement between the two of you. And that will need to be uploaded into Command, because if you get to this point, you submit to me and there's an outside referral, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and throw it in there because I need that to be able to pull it in. There's a couple things I have to do on my end. If I do not have this outside referral company already listed in my system, then I have to enter it. So I need these documents as well. So this is red asterisk required tax ID type, which is an outside company brokerage. So you're always going to need to have the EIN, which is what's on that W-9. Then you'll find that tax ID number on that W-9. You'll put in the brokerage company name, agent name, address, phone number, and click add. Okay. I can't do it because I don't have any of this information. So it will reflect over here on the right-hand side. Then you would just click save changes, guys. But it would reflect over here that there was an outside referral, and that comes off the top as well. So that's how you do that part. So we've got Gerald. So it's preloaded when they have referred to KW Montgomery. Explain. What's preloaded? Are you talking about the tax ID numbers on the referral forms that we have inside of there? Are you talking about in my system? I'm not sure. So, in my system. Yeah, so what I do is I have what's called the outside, it's an outside company tab or whatever inside of my system. And so we are required to have a W-9 on file for every single outside referral. I also send 1099s to these guys. So that is required to be on file, but of course, people move, they change their addresses, or I may not, maybe a KW or another company that we've never sent a referral to. So I do have to enter that into my system, put it on file. So it's always required for you guys to get the paperwork and put it in the system. That also helps you to know that, hey, I got to put it on my commission requests because we've seen quite a few lately that they have forgotten to add the referral to the commission. I have gone ahead and processed that DA. I have paid the agent and they had to bring me money back because they forgot the referral. So it's really important that these steps are followed so that you guys have it in there. And then if you know you kind of need some, I can't remember where did she say to do this, just reach out and ask me. Sometimes she shoot me an email and I'll do like little screenshots and highlight like the buttons of where you add it and just show you, real quick in an email what to follow. So once you've added all of the extra things, extra agents, outside referrals, whatever you need to put inside of your commission request, you will then click submit. It's going to ask you again if you would like to donate to KW Cares. Either yes, you can choose here, or no, not at this time. It is optional. We do encourage you guys to give if you are able. So I'm just going to click not at this time and click apply. Submitted to MCA, right? Your commission is under review. So once I go in and I accept your commission request and everything checks off, it over here will say either approved or imported by your MCA or something like that. You'll see a little note over here to let you know. So any more questions about the commission section or the offers or the documents or the details section of this opportunity? Does everybody, have you all gotten the, has the KW Montgomery Google Drive, like, has it been shared with you guys? There's a folder.
Yes.
Okay. So you all know that you can jump in here and you can get your checklist under whatever you're dealing with. Say it's a listing or buyer, under the regular tab, there's the checklist.
Believe so. Mine looks different than yours, but yes.
Okay. All right. And two, like I said, there's print offs up here. And if you ever just are like, I can't find it, we'll email it to you, however you need to get it. It also is inside of that Path of Getting Paid Trello and the onboarding Trello. We uploaded. But if you ever need anything, y'all just reach out to us and we'll do what we can do to help you out. I do, before we go, Justin, I think you probably and Gerald probably have some questions about listings. So do you have a listing, Justin?
I do. I just put the sign in the yard this morning.
Yeah. Okay. So, and I think he has one too. So I wanted to go over this because this one has listings are a little bit more involved with the paperwork part and the checklist. There's some requirements, right, that are a little bit different. So I'm going to go back out to opportunities and we're going to create a new one.
Quick question about the earnest money. So I didn't realize I needed a copy of that. Do I need to reach out to the listing agent that the buyers gave the earnest money check to? Okay, and just have her send me a copy?
Yeah, and she
Okay.
should be able to email it to you. Oh, that's something I forgot to tell you guys a minute ago, is when you're uploading docs inside of Command, it does not like any other format but a PDF. So if
Okay.
they send you a picture, make
Right.
sure to go ahead and save it as a PDF before you upload, because it's gonna kick it back, or it's probably gonna just tell me failed to load or something, some kind of error, and I won't be able to see it. Now, there again, like I said, I'm not checking the compliance anymore. So this is really for the compliance coordinator because same issues, right? But if anything is ever a picture, JPEG, whatever, it's not going to take it.
Okay.
So we're going to create a listing opportunity now so you guys can kind of see this. And when we get to the checklist part, that's where we'll go over the timelines for the listing deal, right? Transaction. So same thing, everything in red is required. So Montgomery listing owner, opportunity owner is going to be you. Client, you're going to put a name in, search your client's name, enter your client's name. Commission rate on one side of the deal, 3%. Opportunity phase, we are past that. We are in active. Opportunity stage, we're going to say pre-listing. Click create. All right, so now you're back inside of this opportunity, and same thing, here's the details section. You can update the opportunity name to say the address if you want to, but on a listing, you will always need to select your listing to connect it to this opportunity. That also connects that listing from, feeds from MLS into KWLS, KW listing service, and then it is on the cloud. So my system says, okay, you need to add a listing, and it goes out and it finds it, right? So we have to do the whole connect it all inside of there, right? So it's tracking every piece of your deal all the way through. You had a question?
Yes, ma'am. So the opportunity name, if it's a listing, do we need to still put the address there since we're selecting it from the listing?
You don't have to, because once you select it from the listing up here,
Okay,
it's going to put the address up at the top. So,
okay, cool.
and it is a requirement that you guys have to select the listing, because it won't allow you to submit the commissioner request to me if you skip this part. So I do like to show you guys this because, let's see, we're gonna do, let me see if I can, hey, you said you listed one, Justin? What's the
Yes,
address
ma'am.
on it?
It is 564 Forest Ridge Court. It's not an MLS yet. I have 48 hours, but so it may
Okay.
not pop up.
Yes, you do, and that's something else. So once you take the listing, you have 48 hours to enter it, right? So you got your listing paperwork and everything like that. 48 hours later, it should be live, active in MLS, right?
And I
48
post-dated
hours
it too, so.
after it goes active in MLS, we ask that you upload your paperwork, your listing
Okay.
paperwork, which I'll show you a little bit more, and we'll talk a little bit more when we get there. But I like to show this part because when you see how when you type in the information, you're like, nothing's popping up, right? List is empty. I've had several agents that are like, my listing's not showing up. Go over here where it says only my listing and always choose all. When you click all listings, I don't know why, it's really strange. It will pop up all of the listings, right? And then you will just select whichever one it is. All right. Then it will show the address right here, and that's where the listing has now been attached. So you don't necessarily have to update it here because it's going to show right here. So we're going to skip over to the document section. So this is what we were talking about. You're going to pick your checklist type yet again, residential or land and lots, right? So, and it's going to auto-populate everything in here that should be required. Once you're in this section, this checklist, the listed tab is required, the under contract tab is required, and the closed tab is required. Like on the buyer checklist, that consultation tab, there were no docs required inside of there. Each one of these is required. And the reason why is because it's set up in stages, right? You guys know it's listed first. It's on the market, it's active in MLS. You don't have a contract yet, right? So it's literally like, this is the first stage, is when you list it. Same thing with the checklist. Our top part up here, that is this tab here, okay? So at the time of listing, these things are required, okay? And we have, if applicable, on here, which is the lead-based paint, the septic, and the referral, which is what we talked about before. Those things may or may not be required. They're specific to your transaction, right? So you got your first part. You will upload all of your documents to Command under the listed section for compliance for auditing purposes, right? Because they could come in and audit your listing. They'll live inside of there 48 hours. I am not checking any of that part, but the compliance coordinator is checking as the listings are being pulled in our office, because we do pull the listings. We go ahead and we create a file. We have a checklist because compliance should already be going on, right? Your documents should be being signed. So the compliance coordinator is checking listing files for your upfront listing paperwork. So same thing again. Choose listed. I'm sorry. not there. Don't choose that. Click add an item if you have anything extra. You can add a comment in here. The one thing I want to tell you guys that I probably didn't say before is Command does not reach outside of the system to communicate with us. I have asked in the beginning when we were going over some things and we were checking it out and learning, and I was like, it would be really nice if, we got an email, but it does not. So the only way that we know that you guys have done anything in Command is if we go in here every day. They built that system out and made it this way because they want us to stay in constant communication with our agents, teaching and learning and talking and saying all the things, right? Which is great, because I love this system. I love everything about Command. It's newer to us and to, some of our more seasoned agents that have been around for a while, but I'm going to tell you it's way better than what we had before. So if there's glitches, just be patient because they're working on everything. Reach out to us, let us know. We'll tell the tech people. And like I said, they already know about it. I'm positive of it. But anyway, back to this part. So same thing, add an item if you want to add an extra doc, add a comment. It doesn't communicate with us if you guys add anything. So if you want to just reach out to us by email and say, hey, I uploaded docs, or which not to me, compliance coordinator for the docs part. And even if they've marked something missing or rejected, when you have uploaded it, like changed it, like re-uploaded the new, please reach out to compliance, to the compliance coordinator to let them know, because they'll just be sitting there not having a clue that you did it. And you may be waiting to get paid, and that might be the last thing you needed to get paid, right? And for me, I'm really like, that is my job, right? So I'm really like, it's like I don't even know how to explain it, but I want you guys to get paid, and I like to move that file over to my other stack up there and get it out of the way. But so I want you guys to get paid on time. It's important for me, for you guys to get paid on time. Of course, I know some of you are like, I get it because I don't really need it, right? And I'm like, well, then you can give it to me. So I'll just put it in my bank account, right? So anyway, attach multiple files. There is a way to do that. We talked a minute ago about how to upload. Same thing here. Click add a file. Choose your oh. Wow. I don't know what just happened. I think I clicked too many times, guys, and it just went away. Oh, you either click too many times or not enough, but always click assign, and then there it is. Click submit to MC. That submits everything to me, or not just to me, but to the compliance coordinator. And here's your under contract section, right? So your listing, now you have a fully executed offer that's been made. And everybody signed, earnest money's given, 48 hours after, you're going to upload this section, right? And then yet again, you're going to submit to MC. So each tab has a separate submit button, right? And each time I believe that you upload a document, and let's just do this now, make for sure I'm right about it. So let's do this. All right, and you click submit. Yeah, okay, so, and then each time you upload a doc, right? So say you entered pretty much all your documentation except for one maybe document, you'll need to come back and click submit again. Any questions about the listing checklist and the under contract checklist and the time frame or the policies or anything? Nope, everybody got it? Okay. Yes.
Susan, I wouldn't say that I have it, but this is a great start for me. And I just want to thank you for that.
Okay, good. Hey, and you know what, guys, like Gerald said in the comments, you learn something every time you do this. You might have picked up on something the last time, and the next time you'll hear something completely different, or you'll hear a piece of this that you didn't hear the time before. Or you guys could say, hey, I really need you to touch heavily on this part of it because I have questions about that. and we'll do it a little bit differently. So however you need it. So this is that part of it. I do want to tell you, on my previous ones, Gerald, and maybe Justin, I don't know if you remembered, but I was telling you guys to do this a certain kind of way if the contract fell out, right? So if the deal didn't work out, the transaction fell apart, you are still representing the seller. You are still the listing agent. You are putting the listing back on the market, active in MLS, right? I was asking you guys to do this a certain kind of way. If that happens, I'm just asking you guys to reach out to me. What I was doing was, before, I was marking it terminated in my system because the deal was terminated. But what it has done is caused issues with the offers tab and the commissions tab, which is something that KWRI is well aware of, this being an issue. Our best friend, Patrick, which we love, who's now the regional tech trainer, is like, they're well aware. We've had lots of conversations around it because I should be able to terminate that in my system, and you guys should be able to put a new offer in and submit a new commission, and you should be able to click version 2, add a version, and put the new docs for the new buyer in. Right now it's not working that way. So you can still add a version, you can still put in your new offer, but you cannot submit a new commission request to me if I mark it terminated. So just reach out to me and we'll kind of finagle it the way that we need to for now to make it easier on you guys. Because my biggest thing is, how do I make it easier on you? How do I make it easier on myself, right? First, how's it easier for you guys? So that's my first thing. Because I don't want you guys having to go and do double, triple, quadruple work, right? Because technically it's not a lost opportunity because you did not lose the seller. You did not lose the listing, right? So, the contract fell out. Same thing with a buyer. That contract fell out on that house, right, on that property, but you didn't lose that buyer. So just always reach out to me if something happens. But same thing as before, you'll click your offer button, tab here, click add a new offer, create the offer. Same thing as before, move through all of the different tabs. Oh, well, not gonna let me. We like to put Katie in here for everything. She does a whole lot of stuff. Oh. Anyway, click terms. Here's where you'll put the terms of the deal in there: cash, finance amount, sales price. Say you don't know this information because you're representing the seller and you just really don't know this part. You can put the total sales price in this you know what, you'll just not put the cash in, is what you'll do. You just put finance amount.
What is usually the turnaround after you've submitted all your forms? The day compliance checks it, ready to go for, all that before it gets to you?
So once I'm going to say the commission request, because it's great if you've got all your documentation in there. The commission request, once it is submitted, the front desk is pulling that, entering it into the spreadsheet, giving it to me. That prompts the compliance coordinator to go ahead and start checking your compliance based on date. So
Okay.
say you submitted a document, you submitted compliance for a January closing, but yet here we are, we're still in December, right?
Mhm.
They're going to check them based on when they're closing, right? So if something's closing on December the 31st, but yet you've got to close it on January the 31st, you know, now when they catch up, right? So I'm just saying that like if they were behind, they're doing a pretty good job of staying on track. They're trying to check everything at least a week to 2 weeks before closing. So that gives you plenty of time if something is not there or something isn't signed correctly. It's giving you plenty of time to reach back out and have that done, right? Because the biggest thing that we want to do here is keep you from ever having to go back after the deal is done. Because it's done right at that point. So who wants to go back to a seller or a buyer, especially if you're not representing them? You know,
Right.
you don't want to go back to that other agent and say, hey, we need them to sign this after the fact. You're probably going to get a big fat no. You're going to
Okay,
get a
so I
no.
have a closing Wednesday of
Mhm.
next week. So if I get all this turned in this weekend, like I'll be still good, right? Like there's
Yeah,
no
so
penalty for,
Yeah, and so see, that's why I say, hey guys, as soon as you have a fully executed contract, go ahead and put that offer in and submit that commission to me,
okay,
and then be working on the rest of your docs, right?
got it.
So, because that literally generates all the things that we need immediately to put you on that list to be in line to check compliance. And you can then communicate with the compliance coordinator and say, hey, I submitted my commission request. I'm waiting on a few docs. You can go ahead and submit, you know, the docs that you have. Maybe you're waiting on a couple. Don't let that stop you from putting everything in when you need to put it in, right?
Okay,
And just communicate with them and they'll know. And so what they'll say is just reach out to me when you have that uploaded,
okay,
right? And you will see them mark these things approved, right?
okay,
I don't know if any of y'all have gotten to that point yet, but I think on this left-hand side, it will say approved. Once that document has been approved, it will say rejected and a note will be written if there's something wrong with one of the documents inside of there.
okay, good. Helpful.
So that's the listing part of it. Don't forget on a listing to select your listing to attach. Don't forget to submit your offer and your commission request as soon as you have a contract, like I said, within 48 hours. Make for sure that you guys remember that there are 2 sections to the checklist. 48 hours after an active listing paperwork should be in. 48 hours after an accepted contract, the rest of the docs should be in. Closed, upload your check and your closing disclosure or the ALTA. Make for sure to bring your check in within 48 hours of the closing. We don't really have a whole lot of issues with people bringing in, you know, their checks after closing, but I do have a funny story, guys. We had an agent one time that it was like a holiday coming up and I was looking for this closing and I've got a projected report, guys. When you guys submit this commission request to me, there's a whole bunch of things that I do with it after that, right? It comes into my system. It generates a report. We watch our numbers all month long. That is why I will blow you up and ask you, what is the update on your closing? If you said this was closing on December the 10th and today is the 11th, I'm going to say, what happened with your closing? I ask for updates, please, guys. You cannot update your commission request or commission tab. If I have pulled it in and it's imported, you will have to let me know if the sales price changed, if the commission amount changed, or if the closing date changed. So always just shoot me an email and let me know if any of those things changed. That also goes onto the spreadsheet for the closing coordinator, which then lets them know, sales price changed. So guess what? You need a new net sheet. She needs to look for the addendum or the updated contract, right? So all of these things are to keep you guys off the line, right? Keep you safe, out of real estate jail, based on what the qualifying broker requires, plus get you paid as quickly as possible. So everything that we do is to make your lives better. Just make your lives better, right? So I know that we can kind of be a little naggy, but also too, we are literally communicating our numbers on a daily basis. It's either daily or weekly, and I'm not just communicating them to Katie and Adam. I go above Katie and Adam to the region I have to project and report. I have to report to international. I have all the different pieces of the puzzle that I have to do every single month. So, And I feel like I kind of got away from what I was saying a second ago, but anyway, just all of the bits and the pieces and the policies and the things that we put out there are really to get you paid as quickly as possible, as well as keep you out of real estate jail. Make for sure that you guys are watching the calendar for any of Jimmy Ann's contract or listing paperwork classes, right? Because she is the qualifying broker. She does teach that. She we'll meet with you one-on-one. Make for sure that you guys have her cell phone number and her email address. I'm going to put it in here right now. She won't answer you. She is not always at the office. She has an elderly mother, so she is at home often with her. She does have a sitter, so she's in and out. And you know what? She travels because, like, hey, that's where she's at in her life. And I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to be there. So she does travel, but she reach her on her cell phone. It's probably easier to get her by text than it is to email her, but you definitely can email her. I think she'd be willing to, Justin, I hope she called you the other day or talked to you the other day.
Yes, ma'am. She's been great. We've sat down multiple times, and every question, text, calls, immediate responses. Yes, ma'am. She's excellent.
Yeah. Okay, good. Because when you popped in the other day, I shot her a text because, you know, sometimes you're like, oh, we'll reach out to Jimmy and she'll help you. But now you're like, well, I got to go find the phone number and I got to go find the email address and I got to. Right. So I reached out to her real quick and just like, hey, you know, Justin has some questions. So Jimmy Ann is available. So, and she's the one, I promise you, because she's been doing this for a very long time. So, paperwork, scenarios, situations, maybe you're having difficulty out of another agent and they won't get their client to sign whatever paperwork you need in our office. She can tell you the, ways to substitute that paperwork, right? So like, for instance, say you sent the property disclosure, you got the listing, your seller signed, initialed and signed, and you sent the property disclosure over to the buyer's agent. And they're like, no, we don't do that, right? So of course you'll need to show where you sent that to them, right? So you sent it, they refuse to do it, right? That helps to get you paid. It also keeps you out of a mess in a, you know, I hate to say this, but lawsuit purposes, right? So risk management, right? It helps you. I do want to tell you guys that the reason why for the risk management part of it from the E&O company, if you have every document that we have on this list, there's a few of them that are required by the E&O company. If you have that in place, in case of a lawsuit, that does waive your deductible. So there are reasons why, you know, we have this in place. But yeah, any kind of scenario, if you've got that lead-based paint is not the most important, guys, but it's a pretty important one as far as like that carries the heftiest fine. So for each occurrence that is not, excuse me, each initial line, each check mark, so each check box, each date, and each signature, per occurrence, that's an $11,000 fine. And I will tell you, Bryn Calhoun, who teaches pre-license, she can tell you of a friend that she has in Mississippi who got slapped with a $22,000 fine for a date and a signature. It is not because that is on one line. That is two separate things. So that's a pretty important one. But if you filled it out for your seller filled it out and you've sent it over to the buyer's agent and they won't do their part, get with Jimmy Ann. She will definitely reach out to their broker. And she's the one that it will get done, I promise. So anyway, any other questions that you guys have? Y'all got her email address and her phone number. You got the compliance coordinator's email address. The biggest thing I want to tell you guys about the compliance part of it is I'm checking daily. Every morning we pull these commission requests, right? And I do my whole thing. But the compliance coordinator is checking she's checking the email once in the morning, once in the afternoon, as well as she is checking the compliance once in the morning and once in the afternoon. This person is not sitting there all day long, logging in and just doing this all day long, right? So make for sure that you communicate with them by email if you need something. And I think that's it. Oh, I was telling the funny story about the CD. So if you guys make for sure to drop it off. And like I was saying, is you wouldn't think that would be an issue, but we did have an agent one time, there was a holiday and I was looking for this closing and I was like, oh, well, they didn't bring it in. So maybe it got moved. We went, I don't know how many days the office was closed. I come back, I reach out and I'm like, hey, did this close? I didn't hear anything back. 2 weeks later, I get a call from the attorney that says, hey, and I actually used to work for this attorney for 10 years. So like we know each other pretty well. And he's like, I see that you haven't, I was reconciling my bank accounts and I don't see that you, and I'm like, yeah, because I didn't get it. And I was like, when I didn't get a response back, I just thought it didn't close, right? Because, you know, sometimes people kind of ghost me a little bit when I start asking questions. And I was like, oh, wow. So yeah, I had to call and I was like, hey, I didn't ever get the closing disclosure and the check. And he's like, oh, did I not bring that to you? It was riding around in his back seat in the folder for 2 weeks. So that's why I always say within 48 hours after a closing, please make for sure they will give it to you. They'll give you the check and all the stuff that you need, and then just come here with it, if you will, or at least the next day, and we'll get it in. And our policy on getting paid is in by 9, out by 5. That means if you have a closing after 9 a.m., you will receive your check probably the next day, right? So if you get it to me fairly early in the morning, there's a possibility you will have it by end of business. But if it is like 2 in the afternoon, it's going to be the next day. So you will always be paid within 24 hours of bringing that in. So, and I can't give you a time frame on when you bring them in later like that, like after lunch. Typically it's before lunch, but it could be 5 o'clock that next day. So in by 9, out by 5. Most of the time that you know, is pertaining to a closing that happened at 4 in the afternoon and you guys brought it after hours and the next morning I come in, it's there. I'm going to process it. You'll get it by 9 o'clock by 5 o'clock that afternoon. So I try to be pretty fair with that. There will be days on the first day of the month, first business day of every month. I am in what they call transmittal. I'm transmitting all of our numbers and information to the region and to international, closing out the previous month. I cannot process any closings for the new month until I close out the old month. So you guys just make for sure that if you had a closing on that first business day of the month, it's going to be definitely that next day. If you have a closing on the last day of the month, which I wish, you know, I know you guys sometimes you can't help it. But when you're writing a contract, just know that attorneys are the busiest at the end of the month. I'm the busiest at the end of the month. So sometimes it makes it hard, you know, to try to fit in. We have had several people say they had to move their closing because they just didn't have an appointment. So they will get booked up pretty quickly. So, you know, if you guys can avoid signing the contract for the last day of the month, that would be better. But if you do have a closing on the last day of the month, please make for sure if the next day, which is the first business day, is like during the week, right? It doesn't fall on a weekend and I'm going to be in here on that first business day and I'm transmitting. I need to have that closing turned in by 10 a.m. If it is not turned in by 10 a.m., it will delay your check. It will not be until the next day. At some point in time, I have to cut off and start my actual transmittal process. So between the hours of 8 and 10 is where I come in and I do like my reconciling and I check my projected report, make for sure all the closings that we had happened, you know, or whatever. So, and then I process the few that I have left on my desk and get that done. So, I think that's it. And I think I went way over, maybe. Did I?
No, you're good.
Okay. So anyway, so any questions, we are here for you. You may ask the front desk and she may say, hey, you need to ask Susan or whatever. So, but we will get you to the person that you definitely need to ask. Katie and I are working on a document for transaction broker purposes, as well as just to kind of like reiterate the things that we say on here, like our policies of in by 9, out by 5 and things like that. We're doing a regular closing, we're doing transaction broker, and we are referencing referral information on there. We have one little piece of that to finish, and then we will email to everyone, and we will also, well, we're probably going to put it in the Google Drive, and then we'll share it with you guys. So you'll get the email that you've got it. And it's just like another reference point. We are literally trying to give you guys all of the resources that we possibly can for you to get your questions answered, because you know as well as I do, who loves to sit and wait, right? When you got a question and you need an answer right then, instead of having to email somebody or call somebody and wait on them to call you back, or, you know, whatever, you know, just to be able to reach out and that information be at your fingertips. So that is what we're working towards. So if anybody else does, if y'all don't have any other questions, then I'm going to jump off, and that was it for today. I think we're good to go. Anybody need anything? Got anything?
No, ma'am, I appreciate it.
All right, you guys, have a good day. Oh, it's
Thank you.
Friday.
Happy Friday.
Have a good weekend.
Yes, ma'am. You too.
You too. All
All
right.
right,
Bye-bye.
thanks, guys.
See you
Bye.
later. Bye-bye.